So there's been a trend in the last few months that I've seen. Everyone on the internet is getting way too comfortable sharing disgusting things. It's easy to influence people in today's age through the use of the internet and memes. Especially people use it as marketing to get them to buy their product and whatnot. Especially to those who are chronically online. But who I think will use this to their advantage are these advocacy organizations that I've looked into, which there are numerous across the globe, and it's kind of scary to know how many there are, which I'll get into a little later, regarding or or what they'd like to be called as maps, but I'll get into that a little bit later on. And how I think this started was through the series of Gojo the Super Senior, which it's on TikTok and Instagram, where it's Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen portraying as a freshman trying to get at other freshmen, and it usually ends with him having coitus with these freshmen using, through forceful methods, using his specialty hollow back shots and other ones that have arisen. One of them being 8th grade prom was a dub, where it's like this 30-year-old dude showing his fit that he went to in an 8th grade prom. Another one saying homie bag to 10, showing group of dudes. They're like, oh, and then it pans. The camera turns around and it's a dude with like a child, an actual child. Then another one saying just age is just a number. This all probably started as some sick joke, but I think it could become something darker if it isn't stopped. Because since these memes, these jokes, all gain a lot of likes and views, people may seem it as okay to be attracted to minors, when obviously it isn't. It's morally incorrect. It always will be. But I think if this isn't contained, then it might spiral into something more than just beyond the screen. Or maybe it already has. Going back to maps, we're not talking about these types of maps. We're talking about these types of maps. And what MAP stands for is minor attracted persons. I'm not an expert on it, so I'm gonna hand it off to this lady that knows more than I do. So let's watch together.
Let's talk about what a minor attracted person is, or who they are. This term simply means that the person has an enduring sexual or romantic attraction to minors. They've not chosen this attraction, just as the rest of us have not chosen whatever our attraction is. You don't get to choose to be heterosexual or to be gay or whatever you are. And you don't get to choose to be a minor attracted person. Some minor attracted persons are attracted to a specific age range of minors, while some are not. And some minor attracted persons are exclusively attracted to minors and are not attracted to adults at all. Some minor attracted persons are also attracted to adults.
Well then, that was dreadful. You know, there's only one thing you can control in this earth. Everyone can do this. Everyone has control of one thing in this world, and that is yourself. Your actions, your thoughts, your reactions, and none can tell you otherwise. These people clearly aren't sane, and they only get more deranged the further you go down this rabbit hole. As for one example of a MAP supporter that I found through TikTok, their level of enthusiasm lowered as the age of consent got higher in various countries. MAPS was created, the term was created to destigmatize pedophiles. And after finding these, they only made it worse for themselves. Oh, and this is the person who created it. To some, this may have come as a surprise, but this kind of propaganda, or however you want to call it, this plague, has been spreading and festering for decades. It even goes back to the 1950s. One of the first groups that were created to advocate pedophilia was called Enclave Kring, founded by a guy named Fritz Bernard, who was a sexologist and psychologist, from Dutch. And the goal of Enclave Kring was to change the public's view on erotic contacts with minors and adults, with the hopes of the law changing to make it socially acceptable by providing scientific studies on the matter rather than a moral approach. Research done in the early 1970s confirmed that consensual sexual contact between children and adults is not per se negative, and in some cases can have a positive effect on the child. The aspirations of Enclave were therefore justifiable. Upon looking for this so-called study, I found nothing. I couldn't find no documents. I couldn't find any documents, no doctors, psychologists, therapists, nor children named anywhere for this study. And if the study actually happened, the parents of these children deserve to be castrated for allowing their child to go through that. Another notable group that was created around the same time was called PI, the abbreviation for Pedophile Information Exchange, which lasted from the 1974 to 1984. Their motive was to abolish the age of consent. Thankfully, and obviously, it failed to no avail. But these two weren't the only groups that were advocates for this. There are several others across the globe, but these two were the most notable ones because they were pushing their agenda the most. This phenomenon has spread across the globe. Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Switzerland, and UK, and in the US. Common sense real quick. Any sort of sexual, erotic, or romantic feelings or attraction towards children is no. You should be castrated or seek professional help. As of now, these organizations have either disbanded or been laying dormant in current times, but the plague of their ideology has continued to spread like a plague. As it continues to grow and fester, the minds of many become feasible to it. If you don't know who this Rotunsphere is, he used to be pretty funny a couple years ago until he decided to diddle with some kids back in 2021. After that incident, he was canceled until he decided to try to come back onto various platforms like TikTok, Bigo, and YouTube. As of now, he's vanished from the internet since his actions have transpired into the real world, affecting his ability to find a job. He's either fired or not even considered a candidate, ostracized by society. The reason he's relevant is because he is an example of what must happen to those who are in favor of and especially those who act on it.
SJW brains and recognize this empirically correct fact that I'm about to spit. It is possible for an adult and a child to have a sexual relationship and for it to have positive outcomes on the child as well. That is possible.
Now, what shouldn't happen is giving an audience and platform to those who openly admit to liking and telling their audience that it's okay and should be normalized by society. Who I'm talking about is a YouTube streamer called Vosh. His content revolves around political debates, political views, debates, and spreading his festering ideology of normalizing pedophilia. His channel grew to over 400k subscribers, but as of last week, may stagnate since it was revealed that he was watching or has horse and lowly corn on his desktop.
Is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
But despite this, he has a die-hard fan base, so who's to say if he'll wither from the internet or not? If you don't believe me that he's actually advocating to his audience, here's some clips of it.
This is going to be a real hot take. I have yet to hear a convincing moral or legal argument as to why possession of child pornography should be illegal. Actual child pornography.
Right, who buy child pornography, would you say they should not be held responsible for doing that?
Yes.
Really? Even though they're directly supporting child rape?
Yeah, I think it's hypocritical. I mean, child be legal. I think that would be, yes, more legal and more ethically consistent. Yes, 100%.
Obviously, he spends too much time on the internet, so much so that it's corrupted him to the point where he isn't able to get off on normal corn. With the amount of garbage that's churned out by the online world, the internet's become the best and worst thing to have ever been created. Fuck. It's allowed people from across the globe to connect with each other, groundbreaking research sent over in a matter of seconds from various countries, as well as information on any subject or dangerous phenomena occurring in the world in the palm of your hand. But as with all things in life, too much of anything good is bad for you.
Senator, why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is...
I don't fix most people like you, man.
Social media has been designed to feed you as much information as possible, to keep you on it as long as possible. And how they do it is through their algorithm. It learns what you interact with and will keep feeding you, taking you into this maze. And if you aren't able to constrict yourself, you will get lost and possibly even lose yourself. Well then, if it's so bad, why don't they stop the flow of information? Because the longer you stay, the more they get paid, and it's a perpetual cycle. That's why. With how advanced these platforms' algorithms are, they end up becoming echo chambers, reinforcing pre-existing views and beliefs that you've already had. Unfortunately, the ability of critical thinking is fading from humanity due to them never wanting to exit this abyss, leaving them susceptible to misinformation, fabricated ideologies, or personas. In today's age, Carl Jung's relevance has never been more evident. As he said, the world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. The accounts you follow, along with the content you watch on a daily basis, could reconstruct your way of thinking if you aren't made aware of it.
To ensure that you're dealing with a real flesh and blood human being and not an AI-generated mirage.
We've entered a dark age where the border between reality and fiction is slipping. AI has turned into the current meta of misinformation on the web. We're almost at a point where people could be falsely accused of crimes they weren't even in the same country it happened in. Deepfakes, Midjourney, Elven Labs, there's even a subreddit entirely made of AIs conversing with each other as if they're humans, and it's pretty scary how accurate they are at replicating human text, if that makes sense. And now an even bigger powerhouse at surface, Sora AI. If the test videos didn't disclaim that it was AI generated, none would be the wiser. But can you blame them? Look at it. If you flood the screen with text and images mixed with enough conviction and confidence, you'll be aflame to a flock of moths, consuming every little word you say. Even then, who's to say that anything I've said in this video is true?
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Maybe I just threw enough bullshit together to make it seem believable. The only way to know, though, is to look for yourself and search beneath the surface. Touch some grass. We become so intertwined with the internet and fascinated with the lives of others that we forget to live our own, scrolling through countless hours of useless media and wasting the finite time that we have on this earth, making us take life for granted. We weren't born to have our eyes glued to a screen. Log the fuck off and go watch the sunrise, the sunset, clouds drifting by, birds, trees. Be immersed by what's around you, not what others are stuck on. Cut off all the noise you fill your head with and just enjoy the moment. Recognize the peace it brings. Nothing in this world is objective. Everyone's perspective is different for everything, from the colors on a tree to the news of a scene. Only you can decide what to believe in. But how do I know what's real or not? Truth or a lie? How can I discern good from evil? You weren't put on this earth to listen to what others say and label it as your truth, to become another cog in the machine. Find the truth for yourself, search beneath the surface, and then decide what you want to believe in. Without truth, there can be no guidance, and without guidance will lead to ruin.